día y noche de quererte y de entregarte todo mi cariño. Eso fue. No, Solis, no. No, eso sí fue pues una crianza que tuviste y nomás, pues encerrado, porque nada más a la yarda era todo lo que salíamos y para afuera que te dejara salir solo, nunca, todo el tiempo encerrado. Y tal vez por eso, pues empezaste a crecer, pues necesitabas pues más en qué divertirte. Entonces fue cuando te puse, ay, pues bien chiquito a aprender, aprender cómo contar, mm, todo pues ya instruyéndote para que ya fueras preparando.
Hey, howdy, hey there, howdy, howdy, hey there, howdy.
We ride.
It is the spook time. It's time to spook. Everybody, welcome. It is Spoopcast number 20.
Number
20.
20.
Big 20.
The big 20.
It has been 20 episodes with almost a perfect attendance. We missed two or three.
Yeah,
Not bad.
2 or 3.
Not bad.
But especially lately, we've kept to our streak pretty swellly. So
especially with the whole double days thing.
Yeah, we've done really good with that so far.
Yes.
Which we didn't even slide ourselves into it. We kind of just started, and it was 2 a week. And we're doing good.
Yeah, and more importantly, thank you to everybody who watches our episodes. That's the more important part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you to people that regularly comment, regularly watch the YouTubes even.
Yeah.
Or have notifications on.
Retweet our shit on Twitter.
Yeah, all that's cool. Everything helps.
We really appreciate that. And it's 20 now, and we're gonna be here for a while.
Hell yeah. We've invested enough.
Until the CIA congratulates us.
Yeah, until they give us their award in journalism.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as assassination.
Don't worry, they'll make it look like an accident.
Oh yeah, they'll use the film reel.
Well, yeah, we'll be in a work camp.
Yeah, right. I'm not working.
They could kill me.
Well, we have a pretty succinct show today, so don't expect it to. Our last one was pretty long, so we have a little shorty here for you guys. I guess let's start it. Carlos has the first story of the day, actually.
And unfortunately, we're not gonna kick this off on a positive note. You might have all heard us refer earlier in some of our other episodes that this is a dark winter for a lot of people. A lot of people either don't have work, their work isn't paying them enough to keep up with the cost of living, and so we see the consequences here. latest jobs report, bad news for unemployed workers. This is from CBPP, which is the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. And here in the article by Chad Stone, definitely Jacan's uncle.
No relation.
No relation. Just
That I
two
know
Chad.
of.
Just two Chad Stones on my screen right now.
Two Chads, yeah.
So, the recovery from the deep economic nosedive of last spring continues to lose steam. The latest jobs report shows the job growth slowed further in November. Long-term unemployment, 27 weeks or more, kept rising. And, as in past recoveries, jobs are returning more slowly for Black and Hispanic workers than for white workers in a still depressed job market. To relieve hardship and promote a strong recovery, policymakers should enact a stimulus package before the end of the year that, among other things, prevents millions of unemployed workers from returning out of unemployment benefits right after Christmas, or from running out, sorry. Payroll employment barely halfway back to pre-crisis level. Non-farm payroll employment rose by 240,000 jobs in November, the fifth straight month of shrinking job gains. And still, 9.8 million jobs, 6.5% lower than when the recession started in February. Private employment rose by 344,000 jobs, but remained 6.6% below February's level. State and local government unemployment is 1.3 million jobs below its February level, with 1 million of those jobs with those job losses in education.
Jesus, man.
And so there's a
Great, that won't negatively affect us.
little figure here that, if you're not watching shows, or if you're not watching the video version here, shows the job recovery from deep holes slowing. So it shows that right after February and March, and then as soon as COVID really blew up here, you see the job recovery dropping just minus 20, which pretty bad. And
I mean, look at the lack of gain, though.
Yeah, even now in November, we're still minus 10, which even these are official numbers, which we know all the issues and problems with those.
Right. And we still, I don't think we have any reason to believe December is going to be better. If anything, we're going to just continue to trend down, obviously.
Yeah, I was about to say, personally, I feel like it's just going to continue to go down.
Yeah.
I don't really see...
if anything, like this December/January, we might have a similar situation to March there, where we have another huge drop, but maybe this time we drop even below.
Yeah.
Those March and April numbers.
There would definitely need to be a big turn of events for this thing to go back up.
Yeah,
well, as the article said, they got to give people stimulus, and that it doesn't look like they're going to do that. Negative. So as long as they don't do that, I don't see this changing.
So
yeah,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, as we were talking about in the last episode, the most important thing to do right now, and it's something I blew up on Twitter about yesterday, the day before, about we need economic stimulus. The whole country needs economic stimulus. We need to be assured wages that we can then use to reinvigorate our economy with. We need to make sure there's a freeze on our rent mortgages, freeze on all loan payments. We should honestly wipe the student and credit card loan debt completely, because that will help then in turn reinvigorate our entire economy. Because people now have more disposable income to spend on goods, and we can even do we can even do things like Buy America, like stuff like that, like do big campaigns to, buy within our own country to get our numbers back up. It's something that's very doable.
And fund things that are most important, right?
Yeah, it's good you point out debts too, because it's we need this stimulus now, but the debt is just sitting on everyone's back even prior to this.
Exactly, and it's just only another stressor and issue.
Yes, and I guess that's going to be kind of our through line today. Is we talk a lot about debt today.
And go ahead and continue, Carl.
Yeah,
Sorry for cutting you off.
I'll just read one more paragraph from here that I think this one really drives home the danger that most people are really facing right now. Millions in danger of running out of unemployment insurance benefits. The number of people who have been unemployed for more than 26 weeks, the maximum duration of regular state UI benefits, unemployment insurance benefits in most states, has risen from 1.1 million in February to 3.9 million in November. 2/3 of the Labor Department's reported numbers of UI recipients are temporary programs created by the CARES Act of March that expire right after Christmas. They include people who have exhausted their regular state UI benefits and are getting up to 13 weeks of federally funded pandemic emergency unemployment compensation, and people who have lost their jobs and don't qualify for regular state benefits but are receiving federal benefits under the Pandemic Unemployment Assurance Program. Unless Congress acts, these programs will pay their last benefits for the week ending December 26. So, time is
coming up. Yes.
Yeah. Fast.
There's pretty much, just as soon as that's the last time, and then the year will be over, and we'll see. They'll approve something, but will it be enough?
Will be enough, exactly.
I mean, something that we can use actual language from for President-elect Joseph Robinette Biden. In recent tweets, he said his top priorities were things like making sure everybody has masks and reopening schools. It talked nothing about economic stimulus. It talked nothing about reinstating these words. I don't know. No, but
yeah, but it's not effective.
Nowhere, no articles, nothing is he putting language towards getting economic stimulus to the people. It's talking about masks and how bad Trump was, and making sure 100 million people get a vaccine, and it's not
nothing
he's not talking economic stimulus because he doesn't want to promise it and then fall back on it because he's an establishment piece of shit.
So they just do this culture war bullshit.
Exactly. He's doing this culture war bullshit about the masks and all that and calling Trump a bad guy. But he's purposely not talking about giving people economic stimulus because probably really doesn't care whether poor people eat or mothers can feed their children. All he cares about is Joe Biden winning and being able to say he was a president and all the fame it awards you.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Social status.
Yeah. It's an interesting thought because, people always, and of course it's true, Trump always uses, culture war things and the culture war to distract from the real problems. And this time around, that strategy didn't work for him. But anyone that claims that Joe Biden doesn't use culture war bullshit 90% of the time, we all agree here, masks are effective. And if we all wore masks, this shit would be well handled on top of all the stimulus and stuff. Mm-hmm. But the only reason the media or maybe the Dem establishment figures like Joe Biden ever encourage wearing a mask is for the same reason that Trump tells you, the Trump brand is don't wear a mask. It's just some moral war against only individuals rather than because if you go through the whole thing, okay, Joe Biden, do you actually care about giving everyone health care? No. They're not people that claim, well, at least Joe Biden's for science or something.
But he's pro-fracking.
Right. That's my point. Maybe he is for masks, but not for climate change. He doesn't listen to the scientists.
He'll listen to the scientists as long as they don't get in the way of the financial experts.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And I was just thinking from the last podcast that we discussed is that if we were paid accordingly, I'm sure many, many people would stay home and it would alleviate or subdue a lot of the problems that we are facing currently.
No one's got to go out and work.
No one's got to go out and work, and it would all be done if we were paid accordingly, because we got to pay rent, we got to put food on the table, we got to feed our children, family, and I think a lot of the problems will resolve itself. But
and for the people who are working, because there are essential workers, people need to bring the food to stores, people need to put the food out for people to buy. Those people should be federally guaranteed hazard pay. As well as indefinite things like medical bets or medical benefits covered during the duration of the pandemic.
Life insurance.
Obviously, the answer is Medicare for all. But talking about what's going on right now, something that we could do, is federally guarantee people, in an indefinite addition to Medicare for essential workers type thing, which is something that's totally doable.
Yeah. And we could do it in a way that doesn't tie it to their job, because look at the failure that's done. All these independent contractors now for DoorDash and stuff, they don't have fucking healthcare because they're not employees. Yeah. Any final thoughts on job loss? Because if we can move on from that if you want.
No, I pretty much got what I needed from there. As I say, everything will be linked. So, if there's anything you want to go ahead and read extra from what we didn't get to cover, go right ahead.
I'm trying to find a way to tie this in, but if there's not, it at least this next article at least ties into what's been happening, and it happens fucking every year here now since we have fire season. If you live in Oxnard, just fucking yesterday we had a fire out here in the Santa Clara riverbed, somewhere where they that's a place where they infamously frack in our county. So there's that too. But with all these fires and stuff, there's one thing on our mind and around the world, of course, is water shortages. Well, now there's been a new development in the financial world, of course. It's from Bluebird Green, which is hilarious that exists. It says California water futures begin trading amid fear of scarcity. Water joined gold, oil, and other commodities traded on Wall Street, highlighting worries that the life-sustaining natural resource may become scarce across more of the world. Farmers, hedge funds, and municipalities alike are now able to hedge against or bet on future water availability in California, the biggest U.S. agriculture market and world's fifth economy. CME Group Inc.'s January 2021 contract, linked to California's $1.1 billion spot water market, last traded Monday at 496 index points, equal to 496 per acre foot. The contracts, the first of their kind in the U.S., were announced in September as heat and wildfires ravaged the U.S. West Coast, and as California was emerging from an 8-year drought. They are meant to serve both as a hedge for big water consumers such as almond farmers and electric utilities against water prices fluctuations, as well as a scarcity gauge for investors worldwide. And the whole background really on this too is the people that are hoarding water specifically in California are all these huge agro businesses, like the Wonderful Company. And they're literally doing stuff like taking water from groundwater spots and pumping them into groundwater on their property and doing all kinds of shit and ruining other people's groundwater, buying up the rights to a bunch of water in the state. And it's not only disgusting, as I pointed out before, we're coming up on this fire season, and obviously they're going to leverage that access to water as a means of, they're going to try to get as much money out of it as they can. But as climate change and global warming continues to accelerate, it appears the whole, planet will continue to aerify, and water's going to be more scarce. Like specifically the Middle East, for example. I mean, there's going to be places in the Middle East in 10 years you can't live just because it's so hot and so arid and there's no water. So it's just gross to see this financialization of literally something that every single human being and every single thing on Earth needs to survive, just about.
And it's just like you were kind of just saying, is that it's only going to get worse through time.
Yeah, and as it gets worse,
to prevent it, right?
more than just you're right. We need to prevent the acceleration of climate change.
Right. Yeah.
And the destruction of our water resources.
Mm-hmm.
But we also got to stop this kind of shit where, just like everything else, it's a small group of people trying to seize what's rightfully all ours so that they can make a lot of money in a short amount of time and not regard any of our lives.
Right.
Yeah. Gross. It's very gross to see.
Disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah. But we can move from that, and this is like another thing I wanted to contrast with it. It's another stock news. It just happened today. Well, this is from CNBC. It says DoorDash skyrockets in market debut, closes up to 85%. This was published today. This is the 9th. Shares of DoorDash, a leading food delivery app, started trading on the New York Stock Exchange on Wednesday. The stock began trading at $182 per share and closed at $189.51. It was priced at $102 per share Tuesday night. The IPO kicks off a busy season for market debuts. Airbnb is set to go public Thursday, while Roblox and Wish are expected to go public by the end of the year. The Airbnb is also an interesting one, but the big one here, DoorDash, not only ties into just the over-financialization of everything with the last water story, but with our first story here, look at the mass unemployment that's happening and all the people that are forced to get gig jobs right now and have no rights, no insurance, no nothing. Yet, look at DoorDash. They're making mega bank. They're opening on record prices on the New York Stock Exchange. And it's the same problem with what we just, analyzed with the water scarcity problem. Is it's a small group of people just trying to get all the money for themselves at the expense of the rest of us. But yeah, I don't enjoy talking about stocks. Anytime we got to bring up stocks, I'm going to talk about it in a negative light. So there's that. What is our next story? Actually, our next story, if you had watched our last podcast, and this is a little non sequitur from the rest of that, but in Venezuela, this is good news. In Venezuela, they had their elections, their legislative elections, and it went very good. And the last article we read was from Margaret Flowers, who was there when they removed people following last November, I believe. They removed a bunch of people in the embassy and arrested them and didn't allow them to come back and vote in Venezuela. And she's going to interview Vijay Prashad, who's a professor, and he has not just some interesting thoughts about Venezuela going forward because of these elections, but what kind of led up to Venezuela's situation. And it has to do with debt. And that's why I thought it was interesting.
It's socialism, brother.
Nope. Nope. So far, that's the only thing that's helped them get out of it, I guess, is Vijay Prashad kind of lays out.
Don't they eat rats in Venezuela?
It's true. They do eat rats. They're American rats, though.
George Soros funds them?
No. So if we could play that from Popular Resistance.
I turn to my first guest, Vijay Prashad. He's the director of Tricontinental Institute for Social Research. Thank you so much for joining me, Vijay.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Yes.
So we're talking from Caracas, Venezuela. They just had their National Assembly election yesterday. You have a new book that's come out on hybrid warfare. Can you first start out by talking to the listeners about what hybrid warfare is?
Yeah, so, everybody knows what warfare is, and we understand that as being a full-scale attack on a country, military attack with, bombing from the air after bombing from the air became possible, and then invasions with troops and so on. But from very early on, it was understood that war is not just the physical act of a military attacking another place, but also there were other aspects of warfare, demoralizing the civilian population of your adversary and so on. In other words, information war. There were diplomatic wars, isolating a country. This is right down there in the Peloponnesian Wars. Herodotus and others. Thucydides writes about how, you have to isolate an enemy diplomatically. So this stuff has been going on for years. Information war, diplomatic war, financial war, economic war, and so on. Since the last maybe 10 years or 15 years, the United States government, I think, has come to an understanding that it can obliterate a country, for instance, Iraq. It can obliterate the country's military. It can obliterate its main infrastructure. It can't win the war, in other words. It can't subordinate the population. So another strategy has been developed. They call it sometimes full spectrum war, fourth generation warfare, etc., where they've attempted to use other means than a full-scale military attack to demoralize the public, to finance elements inside the adversarial country who will support US goals and so on. And so that we call a hybrid war. And with Venezuela, for instance, it's been pretty straightforward since the election result. In fact, no, since the first election campaign of Hugo Chavez in 1998, when the United States, Canada and other powers like that made it very clear we're not interested in legitimizing this government, however much it has popular support, whether it wins the election, whether they win 20-some elections in the last 20 years, whether they're able to write a new constitution that everybody accepts. None of that is important. What we'll do is delegitimize the government. Information war, we'll call their elected leaders a tyrant or authoritarian. Diplomatic war, we'll squeeze them through the Organization of American States, which effectively, if we're honest, is a branch of the US State Department. We'll put on them economic war. We won't allow them to trade, normal trade relations with anybody outside the country. We'll place secondary and very illegal sanctions where we penalize businesses that are actually not directly doing business in the United States, but indirectly. They'll also get struck down. So there's economic war, commercial war, financial war. We won't let the country use financial institutions. And so what they've done is they've been able to create a hyperinflation situation in Venezuela, which is really the primary issue. Venezuela cannot properly trade its oil, can't therefore collect dollars, has a major currency problem, which has lasted for years. South American countries on average have a hyperinflation or even overheated inflation for about 4 months before they recover. Venezuela just hasn't been able to recover, partly because of the dollarized world trade system, cannot access dollars as a hard time, and this has put an enormous pressure on the public, on the government, and is therefore really screwed up the political sovereignty of the country.
And do you think in part that for people in the United States who are opposed, I think the majority of the people in the United States are opposed to outright bombing people in other countries, do you think that this type of warfare serves another purpose in making it a little bit more palatable for people in the U.S.?
Well, sure. It's this form, this hybrid warfare legitimizes a form of really strangulation of a country because it appears as if you're doing nothing. I mean, Obama, when he tightened the sanctions against Venezuela, came out there with an entire human rights sort of agenda. It's humanitarian interventionism, but apparently light on intervention, although it's pretty heavy on intervention because the impact of the hybrid war bleeds the country slowly. You don't kill by shooting, you bleed the country slowly. So it, in fact, in my opinion, is much more devastating, this form of warfare, than direct bombardment. And people abroad seem indifferent because on television, you don't see the visuals of, US planes bombing downtown Caracas. You don't have visuals, you don't see the body bags, of anybody being... What you see is the country where young people have a harder time getting jobs, where even Chavistas, those who support the regime, will show you that their pants have been loosened because they're losing weight as a population. I mean, this is a scandalous form of warfare, which most UN special rapporteurs have condemned. The UN General Assembly has many times said that this is just outrageous. And my old friend Idris Jazire, who died this year, was a UN special rapporteur for basically coercive sanctions. I mean, he gave a statement in January 2019 where this is how he put it: I'm told that they are trying to use sanctions to bring down the government of Venezuela. He said this is illegal and inappropriate and shouldn't be done. And this is Idris Jazire, who's one of the most respected international diplomats began from Algeria in the world. He's held a number of important UN posts. People like Idris Jizare making a statement like that, completely unreported in the US media. The US media is basically, when it comes to foreign policy, has allowed itself to be a spokesperson for the State Department. And I think that's a problem. So I don't blame people in the United States for not knowing about things like the hybrid war and so on, or the impact on Venezuela. They'll just see, something that says Nicolas Maduro equals dictator. And that just sort of stops the conversation. Well, Nicolas Maduro is not a dictator. Nicolas Maduro leads a political process. He himself was a bus driver, became a bus driver union leader, entered into the constitutional process initially as a constituent assembly member, served 2 terms in the National Assembly. Then he was drawn from the National Assembly in 2010 by Hugo Chavez to become the foreign minister. After Chavez fell ill, very badly ill with cancer, when oil prices began to drop, when the hybrid war was deepened, poor Nicolas Maduro suddenly had to fight against the collapse of oil prices, intensified sanctions from Obama and Trump, and on top of that, a pandemic. This is the situation that Nicolas Maduro has had to confront, and it's stunning that people outside are willing to just accept the Pompeo position that defines him in the way that he is defined. It's comical how even people on the left in the Europe.
Yeah, and
obviously, facts, though.
Yeah, no, he completely broke down, and I'm very proud to say this, that we have always been really strong on talking about sanctions and talking about debt, and I feel like maybe wheelhouse isn't the right word, but it seems like it's always in our repertoire and always a thing that comes back
because it's incredibly important in for one, understanding the United States and how it conducts its imperialism.
Yeah, and I think VJ lays that out just in a way that's so clear. It's like, hey, when he was saying it's not shooting them, it's bleeding them out slowly, and it's like, well, shit, that's kind of how you think about it. In their country, they have the effect is, hey, maybe we don't outright kill people, but we just no employment.
Exactly, and you starve them.
No money, hyperinflation,
medicine.
Yeah. And it's much worse usually.
Yeah, Alex, thank you for the Prime sub. We really appreciate that. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Hope you catch some hogs next time you go fishing, bro. Thank you for the Prime sub.
Hell yeah, those are nice. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I was gonna say something about what he was talking about. I feel like I forget what he said. He said that the U.S. is engaging in acts of warfare that is just causing, instead of outright just obliterating a country, like he said that we could. Instead, we're just taking small jabs at them, and it's obviously a lot. It's devastating.
Yeah, that's why I
like in boxing, the smallest jabs or just tiring somebody out can be just as bad as just knocking somebody out, or it can damage them even more.
Right.
And it seems like it's just a fucked up type of warfare, and just kind of morally again.
Plus, it's wrong. No one notices. No one.
That's the point.
No one gets outraged.
and the propaganda that is being spread within America, hiding these type of acts that America has been doing, and we're just being isolated from it. And the only people who are actually aware of it are these other countries who are actually being in the warfare, and we're just not. You get what I mean?
It's being disguised as humanitarian aid.
Right.
They can just hide this stuff by not talking about it.
Base minty.
It's ridiculous.
We're not even seeing it in the States neutrally. We're seeing it as oh, we're helping Venezuela. But the reality is we're killing them slowly.
An interesting thing to think about
is bleeding them out.
Yeah.
An interesting thing to think about is they tried the complete opposite tactic of this, which is lie and spin it as doing a good thing, where they're doing with Venezuela, because they literally broadcasted the Vietnam War, which was a type of imperialism. So it's interesting.
Right.
They tried the brutality and it was super rejected. So now they're here, coercion and lying.
Or Iraq, they've destroyed their whole country, but the problem with that is that stays with them, though.
And that's a lot of internalized xenophobia and Islamophobia as well.
Yes.
It's a
But with them destroying, like my point is them destroying Iraq though, like the Bush administration now gets the blame, right? Like most people agree, normal people agree the Iraq war was wrong. But if you talk to someone about Venezuela, they're not going to immediately, they don't get that blame because it doesn't look like we're at war with them. But the reality is, if anything, it's worse than what we did to Iraq in some ways.
100%.
Not that you can compare them, but...
Yeah, exactly. No, but I understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it's nuts. I think that was Michael's point. Really.
More warfare than just physical bombing.
Yeah.
The economic wars can even be much worse because it really hurts the civilians rather than say like soldiers or which if our type of bombing, we disregard civilians all the time.
Sometimes we even target them specifically.
Yeah.
Like when we bomb weddings in the Middle East.
That's why I was saying I'm proud of our coverage of sanctions though, because we don't dilly-dally or anything. Like we're always direct. We know it's a form of warfare. We know who it affects, and I think being blunt with that. And same with debt too. I think they're almost one and the same. Debt is just a form of economic warfare.
But it's here on the people of your own nation.
Yeah, of course. We can move from this, but solidarity to the people of Venezuela actually making change to move away from. They're still experiencing hyperinflation even with this new election, and they'll continue to struggle. So
of course,
we shall see.
Under Biden administration, I don't see sanctions anytime soon either. So solidarity to the people of Venezuela.
Yeah, Michael, do you want to read the next one before we go to the break? It's more of a talk piece than like we got to read the whole thing because it's just interesting with all this job loss stuff going on with the massive unemployment. People can't pay their rents. DoorDash is making fucking massive money. All this shit's happening, and then this has kind of got sneaked through.
Let me just open up the. Okay, so this one's titled by defensivenews.com. This one's titled "Defying Trump: House Approves Defense Bill with Veto-Proof Majority." So down to the first paragraph. Washington, the House adopted a compromise $740.5 billion defense policy bill by a veto-proof majority Tuesday, rebuking President Donald Trump, who threatened to send back the bill because it doesn't repeal a prize liability shield for social media firms. Republican and Democratic supporters hoped for a strong vote in hopes it would back Trump down, and they got it. The vote was 355 and 78 for the 2021 National Defense Authorization Act, a blueprint for next year's spending on military and other nation security programs. Going down to the third paragraph, while Democrats voted overwhelmingly for the bill, 40 Republicans disregarded Trump's objections and joined Democratic lawmakers in passing the legislation. Another 37 Democrats voted against it. And then in quotes, today the House sent a strong bipartisan message to American people. Our service members and our national security are more important than politics.
Wait, pause. Read this guy's name.
Adam Smith?
It's referencing
Adam Smith.
Adam Smith. Yeah. God, what a capitalist scumbag.
The chairman of the House Armed Services Committee said in the statement. Quote, by passing the FY21 NDAA conference report with a sweeping veto-proof majority, the House has proven we are capable of legislating and reaching compromise that results in good policy outcomes.
So let's think about that. What is this good policy outcome that they just got through? Their so-called defiance of Trump by passing this military budget. They passed an increased military budget to the world's the fucking world imperial power, the biggest terrorists on earth,
the largest military power in the history of all of the entire earth.
And this article's hilarious. And honestly, most of the news on this is painted in the same way. Is it's in defiance of Trump because Trump doesn't give a flying fuck if some things in there or not. Same thing with the Republicans who claim that they were on Trump's side, so they vote. The reason why 40 Republicans went along is because the military budget will always go through, but baby, and the Democrats all came together too. Mm-hmm. It's fucking disgusting.
Hoping that
most of the Democrats are hawks, man.
Yeah, and we're in a pandemic, and fucking millions of people are gonna lose their jobs. They're gonna lose, their place of living, etc. And meanwhile, that money we could use to lift them out of poverty and help them right now, we're gonna give to the military to go kill brown people whose name you don't know.
Fucking so stupid, dude.
Super stupid. That's our money.
What, you can just not have a military budget?
Yeah, I wish.
It's just we're putting so much money into our military. It's insane. Where this money can just be better put in another place to help communities and help America as a whole. It's ridiculous. I mean, just to help other people is better than, just. I think you understand what I mean.
And that's the line there. National security. As soon as you hear that, you know what they really mean.
It's bullshit, yeah.
I mean, foreign offensive war and economic sanctions. War against the people.
And look at, if you, once again, have any allusions to the two-party system, like, neither of them are on our side here. Who's protecting us in this situation? The military doesn't fucking protect us. They prey on our communities, and they just expanded their budget. Oh, yeah. And look at the vote. Look how blown out that vote is. 350. They have to get a majority, but it's 355 to 78. This shit gets through easy. It's not even a question to them. Meanwhile, they're still debating on whether or not to pass a stimulus. And last I heard, it wasn't even going to be the 1,200 that we got last time. 1,200 one time. Again, mm-hmm. It's not even going to be that much. And they still haven't agreed on it. So,
do the Democrats even want to give people money?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I doubt it.
And once again proves that our military budget can be put elsewhere, just like our stimulus, a larger stimulus and monthly stimulus, at that.
Yeah, we could use our fucking military budget to pay for that bullshit. Yep. It'd be that easy. Not that that stuff we need instead of paying for their bullshit. Yeah, I'm mad. Should we just? Dude, does anyone have any final thoughts before we hit our one and only break? Thank you to everyone that's staying with us, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, we have a big audience right now. Thank you.
We appreciate you guys.
Yeah. If
I think.
Anything else to say? What?
We're gonna go into our.
Yeah, let's roll.
We're gonna go into our break. We'll be back. We're gonna play a quick song. You guys can go grab some water and whatnot. We'll be back after this one song, and then we'll be back right to the news and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be back in a second.
Thank you so much.
That's some motherfucking bullshit. That's some motherfucking bullshit. We get it right. We come and crash on the scene. If you all know what I mean, I take a page of the zine. I feel alright. I think it's all by design. I'm at the party reclined. I seek a text, no reply. We get it right. We come and crash on the scene. If you all know what I mean, I take a page of the zine. I feel alright. I think it's all by design. I'm at the party reclined. I seek a text, no reply. We get it right.
Who's this nappy-headed nigga with the glasses on? He's packing bombs and he claims to be a vagabond. The saddest songs cut the deepest cause they make us see the truth in all this lonely humans. So be careful who you're speaking to. It's we the few deep thinkers in the shallow land. See the real problems, not that one that's blamed on Taliban. It's hellish, man. You spill the blood, comb oil, but we need to fix the problems that lay on our own soil. And we need real heroes, not from TVs or movies. Maybe that guy you judge smoking on a doobie. Me and my pal Scooby, we studied the history. And we're all headed for doom, and it's not a mystery. With a fit to be destroyed and rebuilt on this planet now. How many times is it gonna take? God damn it, I've had it. God said these humans never learn, and they're never gonna earn immortality, they'll burn. We get it right. We come and crash on the scene. If you all know what I mean, I take a page of the scene. I feel alright. I think it's all by design. I'm at the party reclined. I seek a text, no reply. We get it right. We come and crash on the scene. If you all know what I mean, I take a page of the scene. I feel alright. I think it's all by design. I'm at the party reclined. I seek a text, no reply. We get it right. But this life ain't living on forever. For as long as humans are here, it's never getting better. It's about just living it, creating what you do, and hoping what you do lasts for longer than you. Now take this song as a clue. You need to get on your game tight. If you say you're gonna be something that's starting that same night, your brain might forget to check with the rest of your body. Forget the bitches and the Maseratis, my nigga. Hey yo, focus on that real shit. Be thankful that you never had to kill kids or kill clips. Not rap about some flashy fantasy so you can listen. Gonna rap about my soul and the human condition I'm living in, swimming in, often barely afloat. The most hilarious joke is hearing Drake is the GOAT. Now come on, bitch, please, he's not a rapper, he's a pop star. You looking for that real hip hop? It's here in Oxnard. We get it right. We come and crash on the scene. If you all know what I mean, I take a page of the zine. I feel alright. I think it's all by design. I'm at the party reclined. I seek a text, no reply. We get it right. We come and crash on the scene. If you all know what I mean, I take a page of the scene. I feel alright. I think it's all by design. I'm at the party reclined. I seek a text, no reply. We get it right.
Yeah, man, that was alright, bro. I kind of see what you're saying, man.
We get it right.
Saying, but like, can you get the fuck up out of my party now, man? You fucking up the whole vibe.
We get it right.
Like, you're having a fucking grand old time, and you decide to waltz your ass in here, fucking bring everybody ass down, bro. Man, you need to get the fuck on, man. Take your bitch ass back.
We get it right.
Where the fuck you came from? St. Elsewhere, butt fuck. I don't know. You said some shit about Oxnard, bro. Get the fuck out of here, man. Seriously, that's Anderson Paak's album, man. Fuck out of here. You need to fucking wipe your feet when you can't. Look at all the fucking mud you dragged in my fucking house, man. My mama's coming home tomorrow. How the fuck am I gonna explain this shit? Man. Fucking man. Yo, get this fucking. Yo, somebody get this fucking nigga out of here. Yo, Terrence, get your fucking ass out here. Get this fucking nigga out of my fucking house, man. Fucking up my mama's rug and shit.
We get it right.
Hey yo, Heidi, how ho.
We back.
Yeah, hope everyone enjoyed the song.
Yeah, give everyone a minute to grab something, kick up, kick back.
Shout out Omega Nova, big home.
Yeah, that's a great song. It's one of his best.
Fire rapper.
Hell yeah.
Here from the city of Oxnard.
He did that like little loot pack.
What was that?
Yeah, that shit was awesome.
Yeah, that thing was pretty cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool if he like came on and talked about that or something.
Oh fuck yeah, bro.
That'd be open to that.
Going to the DMs.
Going to the DMs.
Yo, Alex, 100 bits, bro. Thank you.
100 bits. God damn.
My bad.
We bitten up in here.
Car
He's
dealership
outshining
money.
the dark money.
Yeah.
God damn.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, car dealership money got him acting crazy.
Fuck. He said fucking unemployment.
He said, I'm gonna chase this bag.
For real. We're gonna talk about the whole U.S. getting unemployed. Meanwhile, we're just making millions off of Twitch right now. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Number one subscribed Twitch channel, and we just
Number one. Hassan ain't got shit on us.
Now we surpassed you in bits.
We surpassed him in bits.
Start beef.
Oh, was he instantly bits leader because of that? What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Never mind. All right, boys. What do you guys think? We ready?
I think we're ready, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into it. It's kind of our second half theme. Joe Biden being shit.
Yeah. Do we want to?
The man we elected. I didn't vote for him.
Me neither. But
or just like Donald Trump. I didn't want him. I didn't vote for him, but I got him anyway.
I still got him. Yeah.
Got him.
Same with Obama, but I couldn't vote then, but
Yeah.
Well, same with Trump, but I couldn't vote then either, I guess.
And even though we voted this time, did our vote really count?
Yeah. No. Of course we didn't.
We didn't live in one of the 12 swing states that made a difference. So maybe we should be blaming them for giving us Biden.
Well, the things that mattered most for us as Californians overall, I think, went pretty bad as far as our propositions went.
Yeah.
Oh,
Seems
yeah,
like
that
a
was
bummer.
most disappointing. And those are the ones that do the most effect in your communities as well.
Yeah.
Those are the ones
we
that
have the
actually
most power
see real
over.
change in.
Yeah.
You're not with this election. You're not going to see shit done, but those propositions were very important, and that was probably where you would see most change by far.
For sure.
Base minty tonight.
Who has this next article?
I can go ahead and just read it.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
So I have this piece from The Intercept here. The title reads, Longtime Biden advisor lobbied on behalf of Trump's corporate tax cut. Cynthia Hogan worked as a top lobbyist for Apple and led the NFL's lobbying division during the high-profile domestic violence scandal. Already sounds like a wonderful person. Starting off, a top advisor to President-elect Joe Biden, Cynthia Hogan, worked as a lead lobbyist for Apple as it helped push through President Donald Trump's corporate tax cut, a giveaway that resulted in a massive windfall for the Cariño, California-based tech giant. Biden has resisted calls to bar registered lobbyists from his administration because that would be stopping possible POC and women from being on his administration. And we want diversity. A looser policy change that employed by former President Barack Obama. The policy is a boon to his close advisor and sometimes lobbyist Steve Ricchetti, but also to Hogan, who converted her history of helping Biden write the Violence Against Women Act into a prime lobbying gig for the NFL, as it came under fire for its handling of its own domestic violence scandal. When the video of Ray Rice's assault of his wife was published by TMZ. The 2017 Republican tax law slashed the previous 35% corporate tax rate and passed a range of provisions that mostly benefit the wealthiest 1%. Apple stock quickly hit record highs and enriched shareholders, including 43 GOP lawmakers who championed the law while holding all sorts of individual stocks. A Center for Public Integrity analysis found at the time Apple had stashed at least $250 billion in profits overseas, more than any other American company. The tech giant also spent more than $7.4 million on government lobbying throughout 2017, a significant jump from previous years, disclosures showed.
I think that means Apple sounds like the most un-American company that we've got.
They don't love democracy, so they don't love America.
I really think that in that second paragraph because famously we know President Barack Obama, or we often call him, he's the Citigroup president, right? He was basically, his whole cabinet was picked out by Citigroup, right?
Mm-hmm.
It says Biden has resisted calls to bar registered lobbyists from his administration, a looser policy than employed by former President Barack Obama. I don't know exactly what that means because President Barack Obama basically had straight up lobbyists in his administration.
Yeah.
But if that means he's having more lobbyists, then great. Yeah. He's doing worse than the guy nicknamed the Citigroup president. Like, come on.
He was the Citigroup vice president, so.
Yeah. So, yeah, owned by credit card companies.
So I'll go ahead and continue on here for a little bit. Lobbying disclosures show that Hogan was one of a team of Apple lobbyists who lobbied the House, Senate, and Treasury Department on corporate tax reform, international tax reform, and issues related to foreign regulatory actions, as well as issues related to state sales tax, mobile workforce, and taxation of digital goods. The lobbying came throughout 2017, including during the third and fourth quarter of that year, as Trump tax cuts were being finalized and passed. For all of 2017, Apple registered spending nearly $7 million 7 million lobbying Congress and the administration directly. In 2018, still under Hogan's guidance, the company continued lobbying on corporate tax reform. As the law's regulations were being implemented, increasing their spending in the first quarter of that year to 2.14 million, the documents show. Which, yeah, it's nuts. Hogan has been one of Biden's most loyal aides, serving as an advisor to the president-elect throughout his career in the Senate and the Obama administration. First joining his Senate Judiciary Committee staff in 1991, she left the public sector at the end of the Obama's first term and went on to spend several years in the corporate world. She's one of a handful of Silicon Valley insiders, including former Facebook executives involved in the transition. So it just screams big tech.
It's got everybody.
Yeah.
It's like they're checking off a list. Apple, Facebook. God damn.
And then I have something to talk about more with Biden-elects here in a minute. Hogan left Apple earlier this year to join Biden's presidential campaign and help select his running mates. As a member of the 4-person vetting panel that ultimately picked Kamala Harris of the vice president's presidential vetting team, it included former Senator Chris Dodd, Delaware Rep. Lisa Blunt Rochester, and Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. So yeah, your boy Garcetti. Hogan was the only non-politician. Biden's transition team hired her to its day-to-day staff in September, according to Biden's transitioning team. Hogan's current role deals with personnel and has nothing to do with policy. So they say.
How does personnel have nothing to do with policy? Doesn't personnel help determine policy?
Exactly. During her time at Apple, Hogan was also involved in defending Apple's operations in China, claiming in a 2017 letter that the company promotes fundamental rights and ethical labor practices by enforcing a stricter supplier code of conduct with standards for safe working conditions, fair treatment of workers, and environmentally responsible practices. Says tech giant Apple to their outsourced jobs.
Like something they've already written down, and it's like kind of just copy and paste.
Yeah. We believe that our presence in China helps promote greater openness and facilitates the free flow of ideas and information, she wrote. Which is Dave Rubin, dude. I'm all about the ideas. Before Apple, Hogan led the NFL's lobbying division, where she protected the league during domestic violence and concussion scandals, and helped grow it into a political machine. The NFL hired Hogan as its senior vice president of public policy and government affairs just a few days after TMZ released the Rice assault footage. Hogan's history with Violence Against Women Act and the relationship she developed with the National Domestic Violence Hotline along the way helped her defuse the situation and rehabilitate the NFL's image. California Rep. Jackie Speier, who's known for her work on women's issues, noted the irony of Hogan's trajectory in 2015, comparing her to the mother who founded Mothers Against Drunk Driving, going to work for the industry. So this, this woman's very disgusting, and what they're talking about right now with the whole NFL thing. The NFL has a long history of covering up how just super terrible the sport is for your body, and
and domestic violence too. And I think those are interlinked, because a lot of times CTE causes you to be a lot more aggressive and do shit irrationally.
Yeah. And for her to be, or to have been a lobbyist for that and represented that and dealt specifically in cleaning up their images is super disgusting. And it's funny that Biden probably hired her for obviously like money reasons, but under the guise of diversity, hiring more women, when this is a very anti-woman woman.
Yeah. Just her working for Apple and stuff, and the policy she's going to enact, we know is going to be anti-woman, but she has a literal history of being anti-woman in the NFL, like just ignoring domestic violence cases. So there you go. Love to see it. And we have more appointees, right?
Yeah, we have 2 more, I believe.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So we are almost done here. We have a couple more. But Hogan wasn't just an instrumental in this public relations victory. She successfully shielded the NFL from congressional action on a number of issues, weakening Congress's oversight abilities by ending the NFL's tax-exempt status and fighting calls for a zero-tolerance policy on domestic assault. At a meeting with congressional staffers, Hogan reportedly explained that the league opposed this policy because victims would be more reluctant to come forward knowing the accusations would end their husband's career, which is obviously bullshit, obviously a cape, and it's victim blaming. That's what it is. It's saying it's putting all the blame on this, or this language at least. Obviously, it's not is directly what she's saying because that's a dumb thing to say. But through the language she's using, you can very obviously tell that this is just saying, if your husband's beating you up, shut the fuck up about it because he makes white people happy on Sundays.
Let's not ruin a great thing.
Exactly. That. Just let's not ruin a great thing. So this Hogan person is very terrible. Where was I at? Oh, right here. Anyway, Hogan reportedly explained that the league opposed the policy because victims would be more reluctant to come forward knowing the accusations on their husband's career. When Congress started thinking about regulating fantasy football sites like FanDuel and DraftKings, Hogan led the aggressive lobbying campaign on Capitol Hill. Because obviously these gambling sites are huge scams where they make out with huge swaths of money and will have occasional winners of very controlled pots, just most gambling goes.
They used to scam children back when we were playing video. Well, not that we don't play video games, but
back when we played CS:GO, the big gambling site
community.
I used to gamble on those sites, man.
I was underage. Yeah,
I was
all the time.
I was underage, gambling my skins away, winning a couple times and losing it all.
Yeah, I think you can in the States. I don't think you need ID. Kind of. They've cracked down.
They kind of did. They went away and then.
At least in terms of like cashing out, I think.
Yeah, they just gave it more steps.
Other than that, you got to keep it in Steam, at least.
Yeah. And then as chief counsel of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Hogan helped Biden draft and pass the now infamous 1994 crime bill, specifically the 3 strikes provision, which is disgusting, which devastated low-income communities and communities of color for decades. Biden even thanked her on the Senate floor. Oh, fuck me. Even thanked her from the Senate floor, praising her dedication to passing the legislation. I want to start off and again pay tribute to the chief counsel of the Judiciary Committee, T. Hogan. She is smart, she is tough, Biden said, according to congressional record. And you have no idea, Mr. President, how easy my job is when all I have to do is ask Cynthia Hogan. Right now, I bet you there are 25 senators who can tell me Cynthia's office phone number without having to look it up because they are so accustomed to calling her and asking her opinion or asking her for information, Republican as well as Democrat. So this is right in line with what Biden wanted to do. He wanted a diversity campaign of people who can come to the middle of the aisle. You get that bipartisan support to fuck over the American people, but it's just wrapped in the package of diversity. Here's a woman.
Middle of the aisle in the corporate hall.
Like be nice to me, please. Here's my peace offering. It's just ridiculous.
Now let's work outside of the corporate structure and build up local communities.
We actually have Alex talking about some stuff in chat.
What's the stock market?
Do you feel investing in the stock market is wrong, or do you feel the concept of inviting corporations is immoral? Investing in the stock market, isn't wrong. But I guess the idea of a stock market is, and also before investing in the stock market, it's important to understand that 80% of the stock market's wealth is owned by the top 10% of wealth. So you're accessed to a very, very small pool of the money.
That's what I was going to type. Yeah. If proven that if the point is to make it equitable and make sure everyone has like an equitable share of the wealth that's created by us, like all people on earth, it doesn't do that. It channels all of its wealth to the top and only a couple people You can look it up. Like only a couple percentage of the population owns like 80+% of all the stock.
And just think about it like this: you can have normal, regular investment, like you say, you loan a certain amount of money, and you say, "All right, I want this amount of return."
But the stock market is not that.
Yeah, the stock market is a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, it's investment on top of investment. It's all created.
Because think about how the cycles of it rising and crashing. And who has the inside information to know when to buy and when to sell? It's not average, ordinary people.
And when I say the top 10% of wealth, I mean, so 80% of all the stocks and the wealth that is stocks is owned to be traded by and with the top 10% of wealth, meaning those who own this small percentage but huge amount of money. So the very rich. Those who, the Wall Street executives,
income earners of society.
The richest people prosper, and the poor people lose out.
Richest income earners,
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael's got it. Yeah.
So 10% own 80% of the stock market.
The richest prosper, and the lowest income amount of people.
Not of the world, just
so when the stock market does good, that's when we know they're doing good.
Right. Carlos is right though. Like, it doesn't mean we don't believe in a world that doesn't exist without investment and stuff. Of course, that has to exist. But the stock market isn't investment or like business or any of that. It's completely created as a giant scheme to justify why the wealthy have a shit ton of money and the rest of us don't.
And power and influence.
Yeah, and everything that comes with it, of course. Yeah.
And then they can go and turn around and use that as propaganda to support the system that gives them all this money.
Because
it's stock.
It's basically you put the
but that's not
market
true.
Is pretty much putting the financial industry in charge of the decision making.
Yeah.
And
that's
what's wrong.
Besides the stock market, I think you can invest your money somewhere elsewhere that would be more beneficial to you and not, other people as well.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all of the belief that we would want a society where we don't measure things and even have like this as Carl said, like Ponzi scheme basically, where we just speculate on top of speculation.
When you base an entire economy off off a gamble, you're bound to
a gamble flop. For us.
Exactly, you're bound to flop.
It's a gamble for us, but yeah, Carlos is making that point. The insiders know it's not a gamble for them. Like, what was it, Kelly Loeffler, the one senator in Georgia that's still facing her like primary or whatever, or not her primary, her race. Her husband and her sold out a bunch of their stocks right before COVID hit. And then COVID hit and they're like, yeah. So they knew COVID was already an issue and that it was going to affect the stock market. So they sold all their shit. It is illegal. That's insider trading.
It is illegal. It's 100% illegal.
Our point is
you're
it's
not supposed
all
to be
illegal.
having insider info.
Insider trading is embedded into the system. You can't have you can't remove it from the
richest are gaining from it. Because they are the ones with the
insider information.
Info.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're always
people like us do not have that.
Nope.
So they are illegally getting insider info and gaining from it.
Yeah, they're stealing our money.
Which is rigged and isn't balanced whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And like another thing, like is that the insiders do know how the stocks will perform, which is why they invest. Like that's like the point. And even if
and because when the stock market crashes, that means they all pulled out. Like they said, this isn't a good investment anymore. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the companies that go out of business are the companies that employ ordinary people.
I think unless you have a lot of money. And
that's why when you make the entire economy dependent on them.
It doesn't benefit you. Yeah.
Yeah, ordinary people are the insurance for the rich. Because the rich can't fail, and average people are forced to be subject to the turbulence of the system.
Yeah, if you're rich, spend your money how you like, and if you lose it, you still have a lot more money left. But
yeah, your wealth creates wealth infinitely.
Yeah, for someone like us, our money would probably just be lost in the system.
It's the duality of debt in a way. With the wealthy, with debt, it just creates more wealth for them. But debt for us just drives us deeper into the hole.
And even if you did just have your money sit, I mean, how much money are you gonna really make? And you'd probably be dead by then.
You're not, unless you're a mega. You don't make it. It's all made up.
Like, you can put your money in the stock market, and if you think you know when to pull out, like, sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure. It's just gambling.
The game.
It's the same as gambling.
Yeah.
But that's the problem is, so when the stock market crashes and everything's low, the people who have the most money have the money to buy everything up and reinflate the market.
Right.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then as everyone else invests because they think, oh, what a great market. It's a great market. It's always going to be great. And that's the lie that's sold. And because they'll never tell you when exactly it's going to crash, because that's the game, is when is it exactly going to crash.
Right.
And by the time most people find out, it's too late. And that's why you get like the 10%, 80% kind of dynamic.
Right. Yeah, that's why I would just argue I don't think it should even... It's immoral, just its own existence.
Something interesting that I just found about Alex, the company you say you invested in, which is, I'm not saying pull out or anything. You do you with your money. But the CEO currently is a board member for the Brookings Institute.
Plus, different companies are run different ways too, so you got to look at the specifics.
Of course.
Pretty much the stock market, I'll say in general, yeah.
As well as Harvard Business School. It's very interesting.
AMD and Jacan.
Yeah, because the problem is like you get the Ponzi scheme system, but you have all these companies involved, and they do all these important things for society, and so you have all of society dependent on a Ponzi scheme system.
Yeah.
Oh, and this guy also, he was assigned by Trump to be part of the Great American Economic Revival Advisory Council.
Revival.
I think that was the
whole, what never existed.
I think that was the whole Buy America thing. He was also handpicked by Trump for that. It's very interesting.
All right. Do we want to? Let's keep moving on here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything from that.
Yeah. So really quickly. No, that was cool. Very quickly, I just wanted to bring up another Biden pick for his administration. If you want to pull the NYT thing up, I'm just going to touch on this really quickly. I don't really have much to read from the article. I just wanted to bring up that they have chosen Xavier Becerra or AG Becerra. It's also something he goes by. He's from here in California, and he's now going to work on the Health and Human Services Committee for the Biden administration. I just really quickly wanted to bring him up and also maybe talk about a couple of his donors. He's very well funded by, by big banks and corporate capital, a lot of real estate companies. So it's something to keep an eye out on, as well as some health insurance companies. So yeah, I just again, like this whole guise of diversity with the Biden administration. Like here we have a Latinx male, and here he is on the Biden campaign when he's getting all this money from real estate and all this and all that. So most likely at the end of the day, he's still gonna fuck us over as if it was some straight white dude. The diversity isn't changing anything in the policy if they're all the same. If they all have the same politics,
eat you up.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring this up very quickly. I didn't have much to say about him. I couldn't really find anything myself.
Yeah, he seems just like a rotator. Like he's been.
Yeah, he's he worked under the Clinton administration, a little bit for Obama.
He said at one point he was the vice speaker for Obama, which means you have to be a special kind of scumbag to get to that level.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I don't know too much about him either, but I presume, yeah, just by who his donors are, you already know what he is.
Yeah.
Can we pull up the Politico one, Carlos? I think, yeah, it echoes the same thing, and I'm only literally going to read the headline and the little sub-headline there. Politico. It says, Biden picks retired General Lloyd Austin to run the Pentagon. if confirmed, the retired general will become the first black secretary, which is hilarious to focus on because here's some facts about Lloyd Austin. He served as the 12th commander of the United States Central Command, which is, the massive military force that we command in a bunch of like African countries.
It sucks that he's gonna muddy the waters as being the first, black person of this job just to, fund and fuel imperialism around the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he'll just do the same thing Obama did, where people are gonna excuse it, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Because he's no one new or anything. He was the last commanding general of the United States Forces Iraq Operation New Dawn, which ended on December 18th, 2011. So this guy was the last commander of our forever failing war in Iraq, our invasion, rather.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the icing on the cake, just like the donors with Becerra. Well, here's even a step closer. He retired from the armed forces in 2016, but then he subsequently served on the boards of Raytheon Technologies, Nucor, and Tenet Healthcare. In case you don't know who Raytheon is, they make bombs that kill children in the Middle East. So that's who this guy is, and he's been chosen based on, his POC credentials.
Along with many other great appliances and home conveniences.
Oh yeah, Raytheon makes a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I don't know if they might own the rights to nonstick shit now too. I know that's a different company that made that, but like nonstick pan stuff, that might be Raytheon might make that now. Yeah, and if you remember, it was one of the only stories that really made it out of Yemen was that school bus that got bombed. That killed like 40 children, and there was nowhere near.
Was that Raytheon?
That was a Raytheon bomb, from what I remember. Yeah, I mean, If it was Lockheed Martin, they're the same. They might as well be the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they work together on it.
Oh, it was a collab bomb. Yeah.
Bipartisanship.
Crossing the aisle to kill.
Boeing X Lockheed X Supreme.
And I'm pretty sure nowhere in that political article does it really go in depth to the fact that he was employed by Raytheon, a healthcare company. He was part of Operation Iraq New Dawn. The guy's just a general piece of shit. And all other than publications we read, of course, and they rarely publish. Pretty much every publication was just stroking this guy instead of looking at his history. So great. That's why we exist.
First black defense secretary.
And that's not to say that you can't be black and be in the military and be from a different tradition. Well, clearly our military is different and built as an imperial, to destroy everywhere on this planet because that's what we do.
I guess like a better way to put it is, you being any sort of black or brown or non-white, etc., has nothing to do with your politics. It's all about your politics. Like you can be a white guy, or you can be a trans Afro Latina.
Yeah,
and you can still be you can still be a conservative. You can still be a neoliberal piece of shit. That does like none of your characteristics that you can't control about yourself have nothing to do with your politics, and that has nothing to do with how I perceive your politics. It is all about your policy, what you stand for, and who you're working for, and who you want to help, who you represent. I'm all about representing the people. I'm all about making sure our bottom line is protected, and that can come in the form of, Bernie Sanders, an old white Jew, a Jewish guy, or you can get doesn't want to give anybody health care, wants to continue to lock up and criminalize black and brown people in this country, and get a black woman in Kamala Harris. You can see, the race and these other, factors that you can't control about yourself have nothing to do with anything. It's all about who you want to represent in politics.
Yeah, and that's not to exclude like identity that whole identity of experience thing still, though. Like, it is important to hear, like, yeah, black people from actual black working class and impoverished conditions, because they actually know what it's like to be black, brown, etc. in this country.
Exactly, like we covered like we covered last show with the Harriet Tubman house getting torn down. You have actual black activists, working class black activists, talking all this, great pro worker talk and etc., shitting on the big companies, and then you have the entire Biden diversity team of his administration that all want to uphold the same system that is oppressing us.
Right. Yeah, they're not using their identity in a way that is productive in our type of politics.
Exactly, it's completely
we truly do want to raise every voice.
Yes.
They don't.
It's completely unproductive discourse and only continues to hold us back and oppress us further.
Absolutely.
And I think that ties perfectly into our closing little segment here. We have a speech here from Thomas Sankara, the president of Burkina Faso, a true legend for the International Socialists.
Assassinated by the United States and the European Union just because he wanted to feed people in his country. It's honestly it.
He who feeds us, oppresses, or controls us.
Yeah, that was another speech that maybe we could play too. That's a great speech. I think at the UN, and we don't have to lay it all out, but like look up Thomas Sankara, man. Like his country was erified by neoliberal fucking elites from other countries, and what did he do? He fucking started a program where they grew millions and millions of trees in his tiny country within the span of a couple of years. They're
shutting us down. They're shutting us down. Hold on.
Are we lagging?
You cut out like the last 10 seconds.
Yeah, there we go. We're back.
Yeah, he drove up literacy. He fucking like brought women into the culture and into society and actually included them. All kinds of shit. All kinds of bounds he made, and what did he get for it? He got killed. But I guess on a positive note, what did he really get for it? We still see his message today, and I think his words are fucking more powerful than ever before.
I think Thomas Sankara was a truly great mind. Oh,
we're good.
Yeah, Thomas Sankara was a truly great mind. And I guess before we give you guys our closer, because I think we're gonna play this and then get out of you guys' hair. A relatively short show tonight, but we did have a huge one on Sunday. Obviously, as I say every episode, if you like what you saw, please drop a follow. If you don't have an account, create an account and drop a follow, as well as turn on notifications so you never miss a live show. Check us out on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Just Spoop Podcast, just as it reads here on Twitch. If you have an Amazon Prime account, link it to your Twitch, and you can give us your Twitch Prime sub, which is completely free to you and costs you no extra money, and it really helps us in the statistics and analytics of Twitch. Thank you guys for rocking with us. We have 9 people here at almost midnight. It's really awesome. Somebody watching is even all the way in the East Coast. Shout out Alex. Thank you for staying up, dude. Yeah, so as I always say, workers of the world unite. We'll be back on Sunday for our next show. Hope it's going to be a good one. 10:30 p.m. always.
Same time?
Yep.
Same time. Yeah. Same days.
Listen, just really listen to what Thomas Sankara has to say, man. And so yeah, we'll see you guys.
Love.
Thank you.
Love.
Nous estimons que la dette s'analyse d'abord de par ses origines. Les origines de la dette remontent aux origines du colonialisme. Ceux qui nous ont prêté de l'argent, ce sont ceux-là qui nous ont colonisés. Ce sont les mêmes qui géraient nos États et nos économies. Ce sont les colonisateurs qui endettaient l'Afrique auprès des bailleurs de fonds, leurs frères et cousins. Nous étions étrangers à cette dette. Nous ne pouvons donc pas la payer. La dette, c'est encore le néocolonialisme où les colonisateurs se sont transformés en assistants techniques. En fait, nous devrions dire qu'ils se sont transformés en assassins techniques. Et ce sont eux qui nous ont proposé des sources de financement, des bailleurs de fonds internes que l'on emploie chaque jour, comme s'il y avait des hommes dont le bâillement suffisait à créer le développement chez les autres. Ces bailleurs de fonds nous ont été conseillés, recommandés. On nous a présenté des montages financiers alléchants, des dossiers. Nous nous sommes endettés pour 50 ans, 60 ans, même plus. C'est-à-dire que l'on nous a amenés à compromettre nos peuples pendant 50 ans et plus. Mais la dette, c'est sa forme actuelle. Contrôlée, dominée par l'impérialisme. Une reconquête savamment organisée pour que l'Afrique, sa croissance, son développement obéissent à des paliers, à des normes qui nous sont totalement étrangères, faisant en sorte que chacun de nous devienne l'esclave financier, c'est-à-dire l'esclave tout court, de ceux qui ont eu l'opportunité, la ruse, la fourberie de placer les fonds chez nous avec l'obligation de rembourser. On nous dit de rembourser la dette. Ce n'est pas une question morale. Ce n'est point une question de ce prétendu honneur que de rembourser ou de ne pas rembourser. Monsieur le Président, nous avons écouté et applaudi le Premier ministre de Norvège lorsqu'elle est intervenue ici même. Elle a dit, elle qui est européenne, que toute la dette ne peut pas être remboursée. La dette ne peut pas être remboursée. La dette ne peut pas être remboursée parce que, d'abord, si nous ne payons pas, nos bailleurs de fonds ne mourront pas. Soyons-en sûrs. Par contre, si nous payons, c'est nous qui allons mourir. Soyons-en sûrs également. Ceux qui nous ont amenés, ceux qui nous ont conduits à l'endettement, ont joué comme dans un casino. Quand ils gagnaient, il y avait plein de débats. Maintenant qu'ils ont perdu au jeu, ils nous exigent le remboursement. Et l'on parle de crise. Non, Monsieur le Président, ils ont joué, ils ont perdu, c'est la règle du jeu. La vie continue.